Well, I see you've made yourself comfortable. Well, as comfortable as anyone in your position could be. Do you know why you're here, Talwar? You have failed to uphold your end of the bargain. Isn't that right? Isn't that right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Really? Well then, perhaps I need to jog your memory. As of now, you have uploaded both the Undead Lair and the Manner of Immortals Guide videos, but neither of which were on a Halloween date. Those were missed opportunities.
And I should care because...
Because October 31st is fast approaching, and you still have yet to complete the Haunted Cemetery Guide. Get the picture? I suppose you could refuse, but then you would have to complete my dungeon in its place.
Your dungeon?
Yes, my dungeon.
No. No.
So, do we have a deal, Talwar?
Hey guys, what is going on? It is me, BikuriBox12 here. Happy Halloween to you all. In order to celebrate this annual occasion, we are taking a look at the spookiest dungeon in Realm of the Mad God, the Haunted Cemetery. I want to start off by saying that this is a mid-tier dungeon. I can't recommend that new players go guns blazing right out of the gate, but once you have gotten familiar with the mechanics of the game and have reached level 20, I can definitely say you should give it a shot, because the higher tier items and potions that you can acquire from here are very beneficial to a newer player's success. So, the cemetery can only be found after killing the Headless Horseman in Godlands. You'll know it when you see it, trust me. There will be this giant enemy coming towards you. Hey, no. Now, unfortunately, it is not a guaranteed drop, but thankfully, there are multiple horsemen per realm, so you may have to do a little bit of farming. This is also one of the few dungeons where you'll have to worry about it getting full. If you're with a large group of people and they all get in before you, there is a chance you won't be able to enter, which is always a crushing feeling. But once you inevitably get in, you'll walk forward a few feet and then whoa! Wait a sec. Kekleta, is that you? Nah, that's just Ghost of Skuld, the final boss. He can't hurt you right now though, so don't worry. He's merely a spectator for now. You see, the Haunted Cemetery is really a one-of-a-kind dungeon. It's set up like a gauntlet. You'll fight wave after wave of enemies before facing off against a boss. Repeat this 4 times and you will have completed the cemetery. That's pretty much the gist of it. There are 4 rooms, 4 waves, and 4 bosses, each more challenging than the one prior. The first 3 waves will introduce you to 1 new enemy type, and the 4th wave will pit you up against all of them at the same time. Let's start with the entrance. The entrance room is rather claustrophobic, almost as if it's trying to tell you, hey, this is all you get. Don't mess it up. Okay, man, I won't, jeez. The environments consist of dead branches and trees, a mossy floor, and what appears to be a cobblestone pathway, all creating for a very appropriate atmosphere. As for the enemies, the first wave is made up of nothing but skeletons known as reanimated remains. They're really just here to get you warmed up, so don't sweat it. Wave 2 will introduce you to the forest troll, a bigger target that ironically deals less damage than the skeletons. So as long as you keep your distance here, it's not a problem. Wave 3 is where we see the troll pathfinder, and this is where things get a little bit tricky. It'll throw out these torches that cause bleeding for 2 seconds. Now, the good thing about most enemies in Realm of the Mad God is that they're easy to manipulate, and that's really the key here to waves 3 and 4. As long as you continue to lure them to different parts of the room, you remain in control of the battle. Even with low speed, you still have a very good sense of control over this fight. That's the best advice I can give you for room 1. Now, let's talk about the boss. We have the Troll Matriarch. A matriarch is defined as a woman who is the head of a family or tribe. If I hadn't looked that up, I never would have figured out that's what it was supposed to be. What am I even looking at? She'll spawn at the top of the map and work her way down just above the center. Then she'll begin her first phase, throwing out 75 damage pink bullets and 80 damage green bullets, which also weaken you for 2 seconds. So if you had to prioritize 1 bullet to avoid, make it those. Also, if you're on an archer with magic potions and your quiver can paralyze, well then, congratulations, you just won the fight. If not, she'll begin chasing you. Thankfully, she's not very aggressive in this state, so even with the most basic ground speed, you'll be fine. In her following phase, she will begin spawning reanimated remains, rendering herself invulnerable in the process. So in order to continue the fight, you'll have to destroy all of the skeletons within 3 seconds before she spawns more. I tried doing this on a level 14 assassin with agate and tier 2 poison, and it just wouldn't work. I didn't have the required amount of DPS to move on with the fight, so I just had to leave. Great. That is one of the main reasons why I wouldn't recommend soloing. At least, not yet. This is a group dungeon for unmaxed players, so bring people if you can.
You know what they say, the more the merrier.
If you have the firepower though, this phase is incredibly fast. Afterwards, she'll begin charging you much more aggressively. As long as you keep on the move, she'll never jump right on top of you, but she will get close. Meanwhile, she'll be spawning these deadly mushrooms, and yes, that is the actual name. Just don't sit on them, and you're all good. They took out like a fifth of my life. It was crazy. So yeah, this fight consists of a lot of running away, constantly luring the enemy towards you. Overall, not very dangerous compared to what's to come. Now we're on to room 2, the gates. And I should have mentioned this before, but at the beginning of every room, you have to tell Skuld that you're ready in the chat. Only then will the enemies begin spawning. But after that, any subsequent waves will occur after a 3-second break interval. Room 2 is a bit larger than the first, with 2 statues on each side of the gate at the top. Now room 2 slightly breaks the tradition of introducing 1 new enemy per wave, because right off the bat we're introduced to the apparition and haunting specter. Apparitions can be a little hard to hit because of their small sprites, but as long as you're not sitting on them, their damage isn't very intimidating. Haunting specters, on the other hand, can burn and well, I guess they're already dead, so. The point is, they're really annoying. They're always going invisible, which make your shots go right through them. Meaning these are always the last enemies that you kill because they take freaking forever. In terms of difficulty, no, it's not very hard. It's just a pain. Now, in Wave 2, we get a closer look at what I believe to be the deadliest enemy of the room. The Possessed Child. Oh my god, that's what it's called? That's terrifying. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm out, I'm going. I'm Works the Mad God. See ya. This enemy is the reason why I stay in the middle while enemies are being spawned, because if it sits on top of you perfectly, it can pop an unmaxed character. Please, if you have to kill one enemy, take these out first. You can still lure them around the room like before, so use that. Now once we get to waves 3 and 4, we actually don't have any more enemy types to add. It's just more of the same, requiring some more multitasking. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Once that's said and done, the second stage boss will spawn at the gate, known as the Ghost Bride. The Ghost Bride has 3 main forms, but before you do anything, there will be some possessed children you'll have to kill first. Man, I never thought I'd say that in a sentence. Upon taking some damage, the bride will actually fly towards the statue on the left, possessing it. This form is known as Fate. I'm gonna say this right now, do not underestimate the speed of these statues. They're fast. Fate isn't too bad. It likes to chase you with a pair of bullets, and then occasionally stop to fire in all directions. But overall, if the first boss wasn't a challenge for you, this won't be either. Once destroyed, the Ghost Bride will reappear at the point of possession. So pro tip, don't stand there like I did. That was almost a huge mistake. Now be careful of the cleavers. They cause bleeding, and they pack their own 70 damage punch, on top of these white 95 attacks. She's pretty fast too, so close quarters is not the best idea. Once she undergoes some more damage, she'll possess the statue to the right. This one is known as Glory. An angel statue and a demon statue. Which one is harder? You guessed it. Glory is much faster and much more aggressive. Even at 60+ speed, it wasn't easy to evade everything. It also likes to fake you out by constantly alternating between firing left and right, making for some very confusing clockwise and counterclockwise patterns. It's actually a pretty tense fight, especially when you're alone. And like before, once Glory is dead, the Ghost Bride will spawn right at that point, so back up. Dodge the cleavers, fire away, and you should be all good. I also want to bring awareness to the possibility of an invisible enemy following you on the minimap. It's always this room too, for some reason. None of the other ones have it. I've encountered the same glitch before in the Candyland and Tomb of the Ancients, but if you can't get far enough away from this enemy in time, then it's only a matter of time before you get disconnected. Yeah, just such a polished experience. Room 3 is a graveyard with a wide variety of tombstones that you can use to avoid enemy projectiles. They also look pretty cool. I like this one. Now this room completely eliminates the idea of 1 new enemy per wave, because we get all 4 enemies right from the get-go. The Risen Archer, Risen Warrior, Risen Brawler, and Risen Mage. They each replicate a different playstyle. The Risen Mage is the one you're going to want to attack first, since it heals everybody else. I then usually either take out the Warriors or the Brawlers, since they have pretty short range and can easily be lured. Then I clean things up by going after the Archer. Now I want to take a moment to say that this may just be the most deadly room in the dungeon. I'm not kidding. Each one of these minions has an insanely powerful attack. The archers have arrows that deal 75 and 100. The warrior does 90. The brawler has 3 110 bullets. And even the mage can do 75. Not a single thing in this room is holding back. As I mentioned before, you should really take advantage of the tombstones. Hiding behind them will protect you from shots. My typical strategy involves shooting towards the front, drawing aggro to the warriors coming at me from the front, and the brawlers from the sides. I'll pull them towards the back of the room and then make a quick U-turn back to the front, making sure to avoid the warriors or any enemies that have spawned behind me. Then I can take out the mages and archers with ease. I find the sorcerer to be especially good here. Maybe it's just because I have a full me. Actually, yeah, that's probably it. Wave 2 will throw 4 brawlers and 4 warriors at you, but no archers or mages. And then we have wave 3, which is kind of a mess. There isn't really a completely safe way to get through it, unless you're really good at going in between graves. The 4th wave is slightly anticlimactic, since it's pretty much just more of the same. So if you've made it to this point, you know what to do. Now we're on to the room 3 boss, the Grave Caretaker. Both of his projectiles do 55, but one of them is shaped like a ghost and it doesn't go very far. The orange stars, however, blind you for 2 seconds and go quite a bit further. But it's not his projectiles you have to look out for. No. It's the forgotten souls that he infinitely spawns. Do not let them get close to you. If they explode on top of you, you will die. Maybe not from 1 or even 2, but definitely 3. And when they get close enough, they'll charge you. I took 2 of these guys by accident on my 7/8 sorcerer, and it carved out a whole 1/3 of my health. 1/3! That is truly frightening. It's this boss alone that I feel it's almost required to bring a character that can pierce. Any wand class will do because all wands can pierce apparently, but an archer or huntress is equally as effective. Heck, even a ninja could work. It's a little risky though. You can even bring a knight whose shield can pierce, LXD. The faster you can end this battle, the better for you. Now let's move on to the last area of the Haunted Cemetery, the final battle. Yes, at last. I've been recording for like 6 straight hours trapped in this freaking box.
I just want to be free!
Here we're greeted with the largest area of them all and more tombstones. The first wave is made up of some classic ghosts, pretty standard stuff, and a zombie Hulk that's whoa. Yeah, okay, when it's doing that you want to back up because it'll armor break you. It's a bit startling at first, but he's still a sucker to AI manipulation. Sometimes he'll just stand still for you too. At wave 2 we get to see the werewolf who can spawn a werewolf cub. It behaves very similarly to the zombie Hulk, only it doesn't armor break you, so I find it to be a little bit easier. Since they were courteous enough to give you more tombstones, you can hide behind them once again. I love using my terrain to my advantage, let me tell you. And waves 3 and 4 are more of the same. You've got a cluster of enemies that you have to deal with quickly, and while their placement is fixed, their behavior is random. So there's not really much more I can tell you about that. Use everything that you've learned so far and apply it here. But now it's time for the final boss, ladies and gentlemen, or should I say boys and you know what? That's too easy. The Ghost of Skuld. He materializes for the final time, so please do not stand on him. Alright, here's the thing. If you are in a large group of people, or you just have a few maxed players, this fight will not last past phase 1. Guaranteed. So while you should absolutely not be soloing this your first time, I'm going to walk you through this as if you were. A huge ring of paralyzed bullets will be unleashed. Now you can hide behind a tombstone if you want to not get hit by it, but even if you do get hit, it's not a scary amount of damage. And it only lasts 2.2 seconds, so you'll regain your mobility in no time. I usually just stand in one spot for this, because Skuld will start firing out 2 types of bullets. Small green ones for 85, and huge green shuriken for 250. Oh god. Now here's a good little tip for you. Whenever I stay in the same spot, not moving, the giant green shots never get fired at me. This is because he only fires the green boomerangs in the 4 cardinal directions: north, west, east, and south. If you're standing diagonally to him, then you're good. You don't have to move a muscle. New players obviously cannot tank those small bullets for very long, so you will have to move around. On top of that, you'll start noticing that there are going to be some zombies coming out of the graves around you. A really nice touch, by the way. We are in a cemetery after all. If I didn't start seeing some zombies, I was gonna start questioning things. Upon being damaged further, flying flame skulls will be activated as well. Here's the problem with them. Similar to the possessed child, it also has an EP-like shot. Combine that with all of the paralysis going around, if one of these sits on you, the results can be devastating. Alright, look man, I know I've made some mistakes in the past. I'm not a perfect human being, I admit to that, but I got a wife, I got kids, I gotta put food on the table, man, so please just give me a chance. You just gotta let me go. Oh yeah! He fell for it! Alright, hear me out. Once this phase is over, Skuld will start teleporting to random points on the map. This is why you cannot stop moving. You've got flying, flaming skulls running around trying to pop you, zombies at literally every corner that never cease to respawn, and the random chance of Skull popping up right on top of you, hitting you with all of those paralysis bullets, leaving you at the mercy of the skulls and the zombies. When I was gathering footage for this guide, it had actually been a good full year since I had fought this boss legitimately. I was almost always with enough people that had the DPS, so it was quite a thrill. And this is why I recommend having at least max def if you plan on soloing this boss. Maxed speed is also very encouraged, because you'll need to move around this map very quickly if you don't want to get hit. This is also where classes like Sorcerer and maybe Assassins can come in handy because you can clear crowds of enemies, but you have to make sure you have the proper DPS to not only dispatch them quickly, but damage Skuld at the same time before they all respawn and you have to do it again. Another reason why I recommend bringing a piercing class. You can hit Skuld even if you have tons of zombies in the way, but eventually he'll stop teleporting around and return to the middle, at which point you repeat the process all over again. So once you've endured long enough, Skuld is dead and you can collect your loot, but not yet, because those boomerang shots return to the point where he died. Oh, hey, I got something. Oh, no, Timmy, don't go. No, man, I gotta get my stuff. No, Timmy, don't go, please. Yeah, man, what are you talking about? Oh! Timmy! Now let's talk about those drops, the whole reason for doing this. You can get a surprising variety of speed, wisdom, and vitality potions. The speed dropping from the Troll Matriarch, Ghost Bride, and Grave Caretaker. The wisdom dropping from all 4 of the bosses, and the vitality only dropping from Skuld. You can also get a Wine Cellar incantation from all 4, and the new Amulet of Dispersion, which was originally known as the Cursed Amulet of Zombification, which upon dying would revive revive your character as a zombie. But way before all of that, you had the Amulets of Resurrection that you could buy for 11,500 fame in the Nexus. So if at any point you were wearing it and you would normally die, the amulet would break instead and you would be teleported to the Nexus. Safe. Good old Wild Shadow. I still think they should bring him back. We're already broken enough with pets, so ammies would just be fun. Plus they could sell them for gold at Nexus if they really wanted to. It'd be a good way to rake in that cash. Maybe it could even bring back some old players, as long as you sold it for both fame and gold. But anyway, I'm rambling. The two white bags of the dungeon are the Plague Poison and Resurrected Warrior's Armor, which is really fun on nights because of the mana buff. This is also where you can get all 4 pieces of the Skuld 2 Reghostening set, not to mention all the higher tier items you can acquire. Even if you just get a purple bag, you can get tier 7, 8, 9 weapons, tier 7, 8, 9 armors, tier 3 and 4 abilities, 3 and 4 rings. But if you get a high tier bag, you can get tier 5 abilities, and that's all just from first boss. The second boss, in addition to dropping tier 5 abilities, also drops tier 10 weapons and armors. The Grave Caretaker, in addition to all of that before, can drop tier 11 weapons. And of course, Skuld drops everything in addition to tier 5 rings. This is why all players who are looking for a good source of higher tier items should definitely do the cemetery. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope I was able to help out in some way. And as always, don't forget to check out the next episode whenever I post it, which will probably be soon. Alright. See ya.